This month has not been good for essentially the freedom of consumption, the freedom to buy what you want to buy and not have credit card companies saying that they don't consent. When yes, Steam took a massive L when they introduced a new policy that says content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processor and related card networks and banks, in particular certain kind of adult content. They're not allowed to have adult content on this platform because Visa said so. Why can't you buy this game? Visa said so. We had to take down this game that was previously approved. Why? Because MasterCard says so. Yes, this was a massive L. I'm still keeping an eye on it. To be honest, nothing there anime related I think so far has been removed, so I didn't really feel a necessity to make a video on it, but I'm assuming eventually it will happen. Despite the fact that I don't really care about what was taken down so far that I've seen, it doesn't mean that I'm not concerned about it because it's only eventuality that something that I do enjoy is taken down. Yes, there's a lot of visual novels that are particularly about a lot of these policy things that is going to fit in that. So it's only a matter of time before a lot of visual novels that I love get affected by this, and then it's all kind of downhill from there. But yeah, massive L by Steam. That sucks. I feel really bad about that whole situation there. But that's not what this is about. That's not what this video is about. Despite the fact that Steam's taking an L, it looks like Japan's taking a W. They're taking a massive W. Now, I want to preface this entire video on the fact that what I just talked about with Steam and credit card companies has nothing to do with this particular thing. But I see a lot of people tying the two of them together. That this is Japan's response to credit card censorship in Japan. This isn't about that. This is specifically about stopping a monopoly, which is technically related to it. I'm going to get into my own opinion as to why this sort of is happening and what it sort of opened the door to. This isn't a fix for a lot of these issues that we're having with content censorship by credit card companies, but it is sort of a way of stopping this from happening before they can take action. Because I've talked about tons of times before, Taro Yamada, this guy right here, the GOAT, and this big, massive group that they were bringing together, all these politicians they were bringing together in order to take actions against the content censorship that credit card companies were doing. This is something that's currently brewing up, but it has nothing to do, again, with this, but they could end up having a little bit more time to work with based on this. But let's get into exactly what happened here recently by the Japanese FTC. Japan antitrust watchdog said Tuesday it had told Visa Worldwide to reform its business practices after concluding that the firm restricted and pressured card companies to use its credit information system. It marks the first administrative action taken by the Japan Fair Trade Commission against a credit card company. Congratulations, Visa, for that. You got the achievement for the first. You got there first. Congratulations. You succeeded in failing. The commission said global credit card brand Visa Inc. Singapore unit, which manages the Asia-Pacific region including Japan, had charged higher fees to other credit card firms that did not use its network to check credit information. We're going to get into exactly what that says on the JFTC site, so let's hold on that. The commission said the Visa unit has submitted plans to improve its practices, adding that it accepted the plans. The company was exempted from facing fines or other punitive measures under the anti-monopoly law. So basically they're saying there's this whole thing they were doing. They told them to stop. Visa said okay, and they approved of their changes. According to Japan Consumer Credit Association, as of 2020, the Visa credit card brand accounted for about half of the market share in Japan. For everybody wondering why they're able to censor stuff, why they're able to take down stuff that they don't like in Japan, that's why. That's why. This is 2020. 50% of the market share in Japan. That is way too much control. This is the big concern, again, why I think a lot of these folks need to start moving fast. They need to stop this stuff quick because they have too much control. Credit card transactions involve an issuing company and management company, which both utilize a trusted reference system when a transaction is made, according to the watchdog. Interchange fees, typically set by global brands, are paid by the management company to the issuing company during the transaction, while the issuing company pays a service charge to a different company, in this case, Visa Worldwide, providing the reference system. while Visa Worldwide had applied preferential rates under certain requirements, it altered the conditions from no later than November 2021 to necessitate the use of its network, leading some companies to switch this system under Visa despite it costing more than others. Let's stop here and let's get into it. Let's get into what exactly it says. Here on the actual FTC site here, we're going to focus in on point 3, 4, and 5. I have a machine translation of it, so if you don't like the translation, if you want to double check it yourself, please go do so. Point 3. Overview of suspected violation. Visa applied preferential interchange fees based on data being sent within a certain number of days from either the purchase date or the authorization date, with the authorization date being determined by the transaction ID generated by Visa. And this is important. Note that. However, beginning on February 2018, Visa notified card companies that only data sent within a certain time from the authorization date, determined by Visa, would qualify for the preferential rate. This policy was enforced starting November 2021. Going to point 4, antitrust legal perspective. If a dominant firm imposes restrictions on business partners, such as limiting their ability to work with competitors, that could harm market competition and violate the Anti-Monopoly Act. Because Visa transaction IDs are only generated through Visa's own network, the new policy meant that companies could not obtain preferential rates if they used non-Visa networks. This led some companies to switch networks. Love it, don't you? We're not saying you have to use us, but we do have this new policy where you have to fall within this date to get preferential rates. Well, how do I get the label for that date? Oh, you have to use our network. You can't get the date unless you use our network. But you don't have to use our network. So essentially, you're going to get the fee. You're going to get the higher rates no matter what if you don't use our network. It's so sleazy. Visa's actions could exclude rival network providers from competition, or at least reduce the opportunities to do business with card issuers. Number 5, summary of the commitment plan. Visa will allow card issuers to obtain preferential rates regardless of whether data is sent within a certain number of days from the purchase or authorization date, and will maintain equivalent terms for both. These measures will be implemented for 5 years. Visa's board of directors will formally resolve to approve and carry out these measures. Visa will notify its business partners and employees in Japan handling interchange fees of the above actions. Additional actions: establish compliance guidelines. This is all like, yes, sir, we're sorry, sir. Establish compliance guidelines for managing interchange fees in Japan. Conduct regular training and audits for relevant employees. Implementation of plan will be monitored by a third party approved by the JFTC. Now, that's a lot of information, I know. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. What does this mean? So you essentially had the establishment already. I want to emphasize this. The establishment already that Japan has like a 50% market share given to Visa. They're already doing that much of their market. And again, that's already insane. But then after that, they start to implement this stuff in order to pad their pocket a little more and to get more of that market share. So like I was saying earlier, this isn't about specifically censorship in, the content that Japan is selling. This isn't have anything to do with this whole issue with Steam. This doesn't have anything to do with a lot of these other platforms that are being censored in Japan by credit card companies. This is specifically Japan saying, all right, you're not following our policies for anti-monopoly. You are essentially trying to create a monopoly. You are telling people you have to use your service in order to get decent fees. So while I don't think this is going to fix any problems, I still think this is a good thing. This is a really good thing because I don't like the idea of Visa and MasterCard having that much power in Japan. And the reason they're getting that power is because they're doing bad business practices. They're strong-arming all competition out of the market. And that is a horrible, horrible thing. But I still think this is a good thing, even in the end, if it's not about that. Because if something happens where a company is, confronted by these payment processing companies like Visa and MasterCard to take down something that they don't like on their platform, they can go to somebody else. They don't have to go directly to Visa. Now, the issue there is that, again, it's still going through Visa. In the end, it's still going through Visa. But hopefully having that sort of proxy that has to go through will prevent Visa from directly interacting with these companies. it will sort of be that barrier that they won't have any involvement in. But either way, stopping this market share from increasing more and more will still allow a lot of these political groups to eventually get their policies together that they need to prevent that from happening. Either way, it's still a W, because Visa doing this is scoundrels hell. I'm sorry. When I actually read into this and see exactly what they're doing in here, that's nasty. That's some nasty stuff. Allegedly doing here. Nasty stuff. But anyways, I thought this stuff was very, very interesting. And again, I kind of seen a lot of people kind of, taking the wrong idea from what exactly is happening here. So hopefully this video, you found it informative. And again, I'm not an expert on this stuff, so if you want to do your own research, definitely do so. This is from the jftc.go.jp website. But very, very interesting information. And I'm going to keep an eye on the whole Steam thing. Like I said before, I'm going to keep an eye on this stuff. I'm assuming eventually it's going to hit a lot of beloved visual novels. The visual novels are the first ones that they like to go after. I'm surprised it hasn't really hit anything, or at least I haven't seen anything yet, but we'll keep an eye on it. And again, hopefully something new comes out of Taro Yamada here soon about this whole thing. I know that he's been super busy with the election stuff going on right now, which I think he got elected, which in that case, congratulations. But I'm still keeping an eye on this stuff, and I'll keep you guys informed on it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, hope you found it informative. If you like this content and you want to support Town more, become a member of the channel. But until next time, y'all take care.